Dave Hinchman's Director of IT and Cybersecurity at the Government Accountability Office. It's great to see you again, Dave. Thanks for joining me. You used a word to describe the way that agencies should think about planning for infrastructure projects, especially for AI, that was completely unexpected to me, and that word is mindfulness. It's very touchy-feely for IT. Why is that an important word in your view?
So for GAO, we've been doing these audits of agencies and their large technology products for decades. And we have a pile of reports as high as the ceiling in this room that get at what happens when you don't think about a project all the way through from the get-go. And I think in cloud computing or artificial intelligence with something that is truly a transformative technology for the way government does things, it's vitally important that agencies sit down and think about why they're doing something. Not that they're doing cloud for cloud's sake for their infrastructure, not that they're doing AI for AI's sake, but they're really taking the time to understand the changes that are going to happen in their organization because they will do business differently. They need to understand how it's going to impact their external facing, whether it's Department of Homeland Security looking at cybersecurity of the nation's infrastructure, or whether it's an agency that provides citizen services. AI will change all that, cloud will change all that, and if you don't understand what that destination looks like, you run the risk of getting down the road with the wrong partner, the wrong technology, and having one of these failed projects that makes the headlines that no one wants.
Agency leaders tell me all the time that they are thinking very carefully about use cases, not doing AI for AI's sake. It's a different mindset than they've had about technologies in the past. Is that bearing out in the work that you're doing?
I think so. Agencies are very eager to get into AI. I think they recognize the benefit that it holds. I mean, this is cloud transformed government. AI is going to be that on steroids. It really is going to have a huge impact on how fast agencies can process transactions, whether they can deliver citizen services quicker, more efficiently, which is a huge issue right now. So I think that probably is out there. And I think there's also an uncertainty about what AI really is. The government is very early in its AI journey. Yes, there's a lot of it being used, but true use of what AI can really do isn't quite here yet. And so I think agencies are sort of cautiously looking at how it is that they're going to do this, which is great. That's the thing we like to see. We don't often, what we call auditing in real time, but AI transforms and progresses so quickly that we're doing more work where we're trying to partner with an agency and monitor their progress as they go through an evolution of something. To look at how that's going.
Are they doing those evolutions differently than they've done in the past, either as a result of that partnership or some other factor?
We don't have any good data on that yet. Again, like the government's journey is just beginning, so is ours. Yeah. We're still trying to figure out how to work with agencies and how to look at their AI and develop their methodologies. We've got a couple of guidance documents that GAO's put out that are helping us. We recognize that there's likely to be more executive branch guidance coming out to supplement the AI memo that came out last month. And that will help us as we also take a look at what agencies are doing it and how they're doing it.
Mm-hmm. If true AI use hasn't really exploded across government the way that you just described it, is there still opportunity to think about and then build infrastructure so that agencies have a solid platform on which to build?
Absolutely. I mean, that's the huge part, right? True AI is massive. In Texas, they're talking about the state's energy consumption increasing by 50% in the next 5 years to accommodate AI and AI powering AI data centers. This is the most populous state in the union, and their energy usage is going to increase by 50%. So that's what AI does. And to be able to move that data around, you need to have the infrastructure to handle that. And I think now is the time to start thinking about that. Cloud brings a lot of opportunities for increasing your infrastructure capacity if you need it. It's not the old days of rewiring through hallways into cubes. So I think there's a lot of potential. And, we would certainly encourage agencies to stop and think about that as they move further down their journey.
Are the leading practices for that the same as the leading practices for other types of IT infrastructure construction?
Exactly. Those practices are evergreen. The concepts hold. It's the idea that you've sat down, you've thought about it, you've developed executive sponsorship, you have good change management throughout the organization, that you've done the planning. I think that in the other part that maybe isn't talked about as much is making sure you have the right partner, because agencies will need private sector partnerships to do this, and you want to take the time and energy to make sure sure that your service provider is going to give you what you want. At the same time, that service provider is making sure that the agency expects what the service provider can deliver on.
Is building governance and policy around this the same as building governance and policy around other types of IT usage and deployment?
I think so, fundamentally, and I know there's not a lot out there. Congress needs to decide, do they want to address this to legislation? Are they willing to defer to the executive branch through policy? There isn't a lot of that out there right now, but it's the same idea. And a lot of the work we do is to help Congress get smarter about the issues, to help them consider how they want to best approach this.
You posed a rhetorical question in a note that you wrote to me. How do we get to appropriate regs that balance the innovation and the guardrails that some say are needed without creating a tangled mess? Do you have any recommendations on that, or is that just a question that you're proposing that Congress figure out an answer to?
It's a question that needs to be answered. We've got a mess with cyber regulations right now where things grew and evolved, and now they're duplicative, they're overlapped, they're perhaps conflicting. States, in the absence of federal guidance, states will pass their own regulations. And so I think we all want to avoid that with AI. And I know there's some talk on Congress that they're considering pausing state and local regulations for 10 years while they sort of sort all that out. But there's no good answer to that, but it is something we know is an existing problem with cyber regulations. And I think it would be good to avoid that moving forward.
The progress that agencies are making, that they're claiming, is really fast and I would say exponential is what it sounds like to me. What are the risks that are involved in that kind of growth in short time periods?
The federal government has historically not done speed well. It has not been its strongest asset. And I think moving forward with a technology like this that does progress and evolve so quickly, that always runs the risk of it getting ahead of the government and the controls that we have in place to ensure that taxpayer dollars are being put to the right place and being spent as well as possible.
Is there a risk of the technology moving so fast that the government can no longer keep up with it? Or does that not matter as much if they're moving at a speed at which they're able to kind of keep it all together?
That's a great question, and I think we're going to find out because AI does have that potential for certain. And I think we're going to see, with the changes that are happening at the federal level right now in terms of how they look at speed and efficiency with deploying, delivering citizen services, delivering projects, how well those two sync moving forward.
It's great to have you here as always, Dave. Thank you.
Thanks.